Hello there. Just thought I'd pick a different location to answer this round of PJ's questions. This time around I thought what I would do is answer a few of the 8th graders questions, and instead of doing a bunch of them like I did last time, I'd do just a few of the more serious ones. So today I've got 4 questions for you. The first one comes from one of the 8th graders. They ask, who is the first Christian? Well, it's actually a pretty good question. It depends on kind of how you understand the Old Testament and the New Testament. You see, in the Old Testament, people were saved because they believed in God to fulfill a certain promise. For example, Abraham is the first one that it says that had faith and believed God and counted it righteous, to be righteous. So you could say Abraham was the first one. The book of Hebrews talks about Adam and Abel. Well, they're pretty early, so you could say that they were the first Christians. The first person actually said to walk with God and to have righteousness was actually Enoch. So those are some candidates. In the New Testament, those when we really start to think about life and being saved in terms of a faith in Jesus Christ. And so in that, in the New Testament, the first person we see as being saved is actually Peter. When Jesus asked him, who do men say that I am? He says, you are the Christ, Son of the living God. And so that's probably where I would come down on it, that the first person to understand who Jesus was and how we're saved through him would have been Peter. So that was a very good question. Second question comes, how can I learn to watch for things like gossip and those types of things? Well, you know, that's a lifelong struggle. We all have a hard time not talking about other people and those types of things. I would probably just say, you know, first of all, pray about it. Ask God to show you when you're not talking the right way. And then one rule that I try to live by, and I don't always do a very good job of it, is if I wouldn't want someone saying that about me, I'm not going to say it about them. And that's really one thing that's always helped me out in the gossip category. This is another really good question. It says, it says in the Old Testament that God is jealous, but it also says in the 10 Commandments that we should not be jealous. If you're jealous, if we're not supposed to be jealous, then how can God be jealous? Well, that's a really, really good question. And it comes down to just basically the difference between who we are and who God is. You see, God is the best of all things. You can't get better than best. Alright? So, if anybody were to love anything other than God, they're loving something that is not the best. You see? Now, God knows He's the best. Why does He know He's the best? Because He created you to be that way. And if God could actually want you to love something that isn't the best, then what God is admitting is that He thinks there's something out there for you that is better than what He is. And so the reality is, what God would be hoping is that if you could love something, could be loved by something better than Him, what God is actually saying is that He's not the best, and therefore He's not God. And if God is not God, well, then that's a whole heap of problems. You see, for you and me, when I get jealous, I'm just one of the not the best things that is upset because someone else that I likes something that isn't the best. And so it's not an equal comparison. In other words, I get jealous because I don't have something that I want. God gets jealous because you're not getting what is best for you. And so for God not to be jealous would actually make Him need to worship or serve something else. And so that's kind of why there's a difference there. You can't get better than God, and God knows that. Therefore, when He sees other people looking and loving other things that aren't as good as him, it makes him jealous because he loves you so much that he wants you to love him. And so that's kind of how I would answer that question. The last one is actually a really, really good question. Why is it so hard for me to trust my parents? And actually that probably could be related to God as well. Why is it so hard to trust God? Well, first of all, let me say about parents, they're people too, and they make mistakes just like you and I do. I'm a parent, I make mistakes. But here's a couple of things that I think can help. You see, here's something about trust. Trust is based on an object. All right, so the more that you know that object, the more you understand that object, the more you have an ability for your trust to grow. Let me just kind of give you a little bit of an illustration here. Let's say, I don't know how well you can see it, but on this side of me there's actually a hill, and on this side of me there's actually a hill. And so let's just say that I decided, instead of sitting on the ground like I am right now, I wanted to sit on something so that you could see me a little bit better. Well, in order to do that, you would need to know a little bit of something about me. For example, I weigh a few hundred pounds, and I'm not exactly the lightest thing, so you need something that can hold my weight. Well, let's say that I decided I was going to use this piece of bamboo, which actually Dwayne's kids tore down when they were at Tiffany's birthday party here not too long ago. And let's say I was going to use this to sit on, to kind of put across this ravine, and I'm going to sit on this portion right here. What would happen? Now, I know what all of you want. You want me to try it. So, you see what happens? It falls down. Why is that? Well, because it's really thin, it's really brittle, and it's really dead. And I'm heavy. So what happens is my knowledge about this tells me that I shouldn't trust it, because the knowledge doesn't meet what I know about it. Tells me that it's not going to do what I needed to do. On the other hand, see if I can get rid of this. Let's say that I was going to use this 4x4. Right here. Now that thing is that's pretty steady. You see, it's solid wood. It's as thick as it is wide, and it's pretty solid. And you know what? I'm pretty sure I can't break it when I do that. And when I get to know this, what I understand is, if I can balance it, it can hold my weight. You see, and that's how trust works. If you learn to know the object and to understand what you know about yourself, what you know about the object, the more you get to know, the more confidence you have that this can hold you. And so what I would encourage you with your parents, if you're having trouble trusting your parents, get to know them. Because the more you know about them, the more you can trust them, rely on them, because you know that they'll hold you up in the tough times of life. Similarly is faith. See, faith is what you do with what you know. So I could know that this board can hold me, but I'm not actually using faith in the board until I sit on it. And see, as you know God, learn God, experience His love in Jesus Christ, you might know all of those things, but until you actually put it to practice, until you say, yes, Lord, I'm going to trust you, you're not quite at faith, you're just at knowledge. So I'd encourage you all to take a relaxation leap of faith. Hope you enjoyed the questions. I'll be putting a few up for too long. Thank you to the 8th graders for those 4. I'll be answering more of yours next time. Catch you later.